Hi everybody, my name is Caitlin and I'm the program coordinator here at Spectrum, and today I'm going to show you a heart dissection. So dissection means to cut something up to examine it. So scientists like to dissect things to understand them better. But before we look inside this heart, I can already tell you a few things about it. So this heart here came from a pig, and a common question that we get here when we do dissections at Spectrum is, where do we get our hearts, or where do we get anything else we might be dissecting that day? So we order our hearts from a company that supplies labs and museums with many different things, and one of those things is the hearts that we have here. So Spectrum, we don't have a pig farm here. So this is the front of the heart here. Here's the back. So it looks a little bit different, and the reason I can tell this is the front is because the back is much flatter. It has like kind of a defined, if you dissect enough hearts, you can kind of get a sense of what the front is and what the back is, because they look a little bit different. The white color that you see here is all fat, so hearts have fat around them to add some cushion to protect them. And then this darker brown color, which is it's a bit of a fatty heart, but this color that you see here, that is the actual heart. So the darker color is, you might think it looks like meat, and you're right, because hearts are made out of muscles just like meat are. So my question for you is, why do we even have a heart? Why do animals have hearts? Why do people have hearts, and what do they do? Well, our heart pumps blood, and you can hear the pumping around. I have a stethoscope here. So you might have seen a stethoscope before. This is a tool that doctors and scientists and whoever else, a curious person, might use to listen to the heartbeat. You can also feel your pulse. That's another way to feel your heartbeat. And one way to do that is you can put 2 fingers here, kind of close to where your wrist or where your arm meets your hand, or your wrist there. And if you are still and you put enough pressure, you can feel your pulse there. So we know a lot about hearts, but they're also really complicated, and in its simplest terms, we need our heart to give us energy. The job of the heart is to circulate your blood through your lungs to collect oxygen and then cycle your blood back out through the rest of your body to your fingers and your toes. So your heart is part of your circulatory system, and I'm going to show you how our heart does that. So we have a couple different ways that we dissect hearts here at Spectrum, and I'm going to show you what the inside of our heart looks like by cutting it right in half like this. All right, so this is what the inside of a heart looks like, and there's 2 sides to a heart here, so I'm just going to put this here to not distract us for a minute. So this is one half of the heart. This is the back half that I'm holding here. And remember, it goes together like this. So this is the front here, and I cut it in half. This is the back. So the blood that needs oxygen comes in on this side, on the right-hand side. And it goes in through the atrium, and it passes through here to the ventricle. And the ventricle is like a pocket. So right here is where the blood comes in that needs oxygen. And then blood goes out of your heart through your pulmonary artery. And that's like a fancy way of saying it's like a highway for your blood that goes out into your lungs. And it collects oxygen there, because remember, this is the blood that needs oxygen that came from the rest of your body. Collects oxygen in your lungs, and then it comes back through the pulmonary veins into the left side of your heart. And here, boop, I can stick my finger through, right? So this is the atrium, and then it's gonna land on this side. So our blood that got its oxygen from its lungs is coming in, back in through here on the left side. And remember, this is normally like a pocket. It's not so flat looking on the left side here. But it comes in through here, and then it goes out with your aorta, which is like this giant, massive blood highway that goes out through the whole rest of your body, out into your fingers and your toes and your head and everywhere else that you might think of having blood. So one last thing that I want to mention is, if you notice, our two sides of our heart here, right? We've got our right side and our left side. And you'll notice that here on this side, on the right side, on your right ventricle, the walls of our pocket here are kind of thin. So you can see the width of it right here. They're kind of thin on this side, but then the walls of our left ventricle here on this side are way thicker. It's like twice as thick on this side. And I'm curious if you have any ideas why it might be so thick on this side of the heart and not so thick on this side of the heart. So you might remember I said this side, the blood that goes on the right side that needs oxygen, is only traveling to your lungs. And if you think about the anatomy of your body, if you breathe in, you gotta remember where your lungs are. Your lungs are surrounding your heart. So to get your blood that needs to go to the lungs from here in your heart to your lungs is not gonna take a lot of work, right? It doesn't have very far to go. But the blood that is coming from the lungs that has its oxygen now, that is coming into the left side of the heart here, its next step is to go out through the whole rest of your body. So think about how much farther your blood has to travel from your heart to get all the way down to your toes again. So that's a lot more work. So it's much, much thicker, the muscle on this side, on the left side of your heart, than on the right side. So that was our heart dissection. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, be sure to reach out and leave us a comment on this video. Well, thank you so much for dissecting a heart with me. Hope to see you in our next video coming out tomorrow. Take care and stay curious.